Fighting cannot be the name of the genre. We're not fighting. Fighting is when you're yelling at someone. It's like, you idiot, I can't believe you've done this. I'm so angry at you. It involves like anger. But I never see people angry when they're playing fighting games in real life. You know, I think it's a real shame that this game is called a fighting game, because I'm not an aggressive, well, I can be quite aggressive, but I don't consider myself an especially aggressive person. But have you ever tried to tell your family members or your friends or people that don't understand? You know, I play a lot of games. Oh, what games do you play? Oh, I play fighting games. They're like, oh. And they don't even know what a fighting game is. But it just sounds terrible, doesn't it? So have you ever been to a fighting game event? Nobody is fighting. No one is being aggressive to anyone. Some people are being very hype, and some people are being very loud. But no one is interested in fighting, showing animosity towards other human beings. It's such a shame that these games have to be called fighting games. That's what they're doing on stream, but that's not what we're doing. When you're in the fighting game world, it all just sounds so normal. Well, we've called them fighting games for our whole lives. For a genre that's expanding, puzzle game sounds educational. MOBA, no one even knows what that stands for. Okay, people who play MOBAs obviously all understand what it is, but to your parents, oh, I'm really into MOBA games. Oh, cool. It sounds like mobile. That doesn't sound too dangerous. Might sound like an expensive habit. I feel seriously about this though, guys. I really think that simply changing the name of the genre could really help with the growth of this genre. The people who play fighting games are generally the least violent people I've ever met. They're all incredibly zen. Not all of them. Not all of them. Martial arts game, punchy game, sparring game. Maybe it's just because I haven't been part of fighting games for like my whole life. I bought fighting games as a kid and I play them like here on stream, but it's not like I've been going to arcades and local events and tournaments my whole. I didn't know what Evo was 3 years ago. I'm that guy, the one who didn't know what Evo was. I think there's a video of me saying I'm really excited about having an arcade stick so I can play beat-em-ups on my Switch. I think I actually said that. I think I called them beat-em-ups because I thought that's what they were called. Either way, fighting games or beat-em-ups sounds terrible. This is how I feel about being new to. I mean, it's like I owned fighting games as a kid. But I really wish I could tell people that what I do is play something which is basically, it's like strategic war chess. Actually, war sounds bad too. It's chess with weapons. Now that doesn't sound good either. There's gotta be a clever way. Keep coming up with new names. Competitive games. See, competition has great connotations. Even in the educational world, people value competition as an important skill. Team building and all that great stuff. I like Grift. I like the idea of competitive games. Here's how I would prefer to have it myself. I would like if they were called. I don't have the right answer, but I would like a term that actually describes what's happening, not what it looks like. What ARG games? Well, you lose. Online martial arts. No, Zeku's a really cool character. I have no idea what just happened. Everything I wanted to press was predicted. It all feels a little bit suspect. Real talk, we've been calling them fighters for at least 30 years, so it's not going to change. It could change. It could change, absolutely. Things change all the time. Esports didn't exist. And even now, it's like, it exists, but it's still developing. It's called Street Fighter, but that's fine. The game doesn't matter. The game title doesn't define the activity. When people hear the title, I don't think it scares them. I think the genre scares them. I'm not saying it's the only thing that's going to make a difference. I just think it would make quite a lot of difference. Maybe when you're a teenager, it all sounds fine. Just call it exactly what it is. The characters are fighting, call it a fighting game. But they're not. That's why when there's a taekwondo tournament, or a karate tournament, or a kung fu tournament, they don't call them fighting tournaments. They call them martial arts tournaments. Because these people have nothing against each other. They're here to compete in the good spirit of sport. It's sport. If you want it to be sport, we should stop calling it fighting, because we're not fighting. It doesn't sound any worse than saying shooting games. Yeah, but no one says shooting games. I say vertical scroller, or horizontal scrolling. I sometimes say scrolling shooting game. That gets away from the fact. Because when you say shooting game to a person who doesn't know what you're talking about, they'll think you're talking about where you're in first person running around shooting someone. But even then, first-person shooters gets away with it because it sounds like it's talking about the narrative aspect. First person or third person. It sounds like that's the most important thing about it. The fact that there are guns involved, you know, they could be bubble guns, they could be laser guns, they could be water guns. Fighting makes it sound like the two people involved have something against each other. In general, I find that they don't. Yeah, shoot 'em ups has been changed to shmups, and it gets away from the violent subcontext, the violent connotations. I really think that the genre doesn't need to be called fighting game. But as we're expecting the scene to expand with esports, I think it's worth reconsidering these things. Fighting games. I'm not involved in fighting with anyone. I haven't fought anyone for a very long time. Bum ups. That sounds like a new exercise. Sounds like something your yoga instructor might ask you to try. Whoa, what is going on? Combat! Toka, I like that. Combat could be the answer. I think changing it to something like combat or... Yeah, you know what? How about one-on-one combat? Because combat doesn't have the connotation that we have something against each other. We could call it 1v1 combat. One-on-one combat. PvP combat could be good. 2D combat could be good. I really think this could be the answer. Combat sports, I like that. I really like PvP combat. From this day forward, we don't play fighting games. We play PvP combat. You know what? You could still put the word fighting in, as long as fighting is not the own... Fighting cannot be the name of the genre. We're not fighting. Fighting is when you're yelling at someone. It's like, you idiot, I can't believe you've done this. I'm so angry at you. It involves like anger. But I never see people angry when they're playing fighting games in real life. What if you're playing arcade mode? Okay, fair enough. It's not always online. We don't have to have the PvP. The game could just be called combat. One-on-one combat. Even if it's a tag team fighter, it's usually one-on-one. Even if you're in a team, it's often one-on-one at times. They don't have to physically fight. This isn't a fight. I don't think we say fight when you go to a taekwondo tournament, do you?
Fight.
You say a match. You say a set. What are these games called in Japan? They're called kakuto-gamu. And kakuto means... I'm gonna look up kakuto. Hand-to-hand fighting. Grappling. Scuffling. By the way, a martial artist is called a kakuto-ka. So there you have it. In Japan, the genre actually has a martial arts connotation, denotation. So I think it does actually sound better in Japan. Scuffling games. We don't play fighting games, we play scuffling games. You guys want to play some scuffling games? Kakuto is more like versus battle. Hey, I like that. Lightsaber, I like versus battle. That's pretty good as well. We could call it versus battle games. That sounds good. Oh, this is way better. Keith, always plug your computer in. I like the idea. I like the sound of versus battle. Versus battle is too broad a term for just fighting game. I think it could do with some refinement. Yeah, you're right. I think it's a pretty good start. Combat games or versus battle sounds good. They're not fighting though, are they? You can have a match against someone in a martial art and not have any fighting involved. I genuinely believe it. And in any case, even if they are fighting, we need a term that helps people understand what it is before they've seen it. Because for most people, hearing the term fighting games will be the first time they have any contact with fighting games, instead of actually seeing it. Like in the news. Did you hear? They're putting fighting games in the Olympics. Or something like that. I don't think it... I really think that we could find a better word.
You win.
This isn't martial art, it's a video game. Yeah. But that doesn't... I don't think that matters. Because it'll still have the word game at the end. They could be called martial arts games. They could be called something else. Martial something else. Martial punch games. That's why MMA fighting is called fighting. I mean, I do understand that the best description for fighting games is fighting games. Don't get me wrong. I just think that in the development of the genre, it's not doing it any favors that people are confused. It's difficult for people to know what to expect when they see it in the news. Fighting games are now in the Olympics. That sounds violent. And video games already have enough issues with people claiming violence having negative effects on people. In the media, there are sometimes people who don't get it with esports, and that's not their fault. A lot of people who talk in the media did grow up at a time when video games were something you did if you wanted to avoid schoolwork, to avoid real sports, physical sports. I don't really blame anyone who misunderstood it. But there are so many people growing up with video games that people's misconceptions will be changed. Absolutely no problem. Because the people who think lowly of video games, they're on their way out. They're already quite old. I realize that a lot of the big money comes from, three-dimensional, one-player, third-person games where you run around a beautiful environment breaking things. I can see how that's a lot of fun. But I don't even think I would consider myself really a gamer. I just like 1v1 combat battle. Combat games. Martial fighting? Did we ever come up with a new genre title for this?